Hi, it's Marie Segal. I'm here to talk to you about essential board prep, your pitch, bio, resume, and LinkedIn profile. I'll start with your board pitch. What is a board pitch and why do you need one? Next, we'll talk about board bios. What is a board bio? Why is it important? Third, board resumes. How is a board resume different from what we think of as a normal resume? And lastly, LinkedIn. What should you change to show you're seeking a board role? Hi, it's Marie Segal. I wanted to talk about what is a board pitch and why do you need it? A board pitch is essentially a very short presentation of your board value proposition. I would say 60 to 90 seconds. You want to convey a couple of things. Obviously, what's your name? What is your value proposition for a board? As I said, those are things that you definitely want to be including. You also want to show through the way that you discuss your board value proposition, through the words that you use and what you curate, what you decide to include or not, that you are thinking about the board role from the right perspective, in the right light. So you don't want to sound like an executive. You don't want to be talking about operational things that you do well. You don't want to sound in the weeds. You want to sound like you have that high-level board perspective, that you're coming in from that mindset, with that mindset. And you also want to be talking about your company if you have a current role, but not too much. It's another mistake that I hear people make often when they're doing a board pitch. They spend so much time talking about their company that they don't have time left to talk about themselves. And as I always say, we're not hiring your company. We're not hiring your team. We're not hiring the C-suite members that you work with or others. We're hiring you. And not hiring because it's a board role, but it's the same type of situation that you might find yourself in when you're doing an interview for another role. Except that, as I said, with the important distinction that you are not looking to show how you can do all of these great things that are management level. The board pitch is about your service on the board, your potential for board service. Why do you want a board bio? It's a really good question. So when we're talking about board bios, we're talking about corporate boards. Not always, but that's usually when that term is used. And we're talking about a one-page document. It'll probably have your photo and your contact information, maybe a tagline. It may have multiple columns. You'll have some of your experience listed, board roles if you've had them, accomplishments, awards, different pieces of information. Sometimes it's more of a narrative format. I'm seeing more and more that it's a bullet point format. That's what we're talking about when we talk about a board bio. Why is it important to have one? Because you will be asked for one. It is often one of the first things that's requested in the process when you are looking for a board role, whether you're talking to a recruiter or you're talking directly to the board. Great, can you send me your board bio? So if you don't have one, you'll get stuck. You'll have a delay or you will have to pass on the opportunity. So it's really important to have your board bio drafted, optimized, and ready to go. What is a board resume? It's a question I get quite a bit from potential board candidates. What's the difference between a regular resume, and we might call it an executive resume, and a board resume? And the chief difference is that you take your board experience and put that at the top in the area we sometimes call the prime real estate. the top third, top half, or even the full first page, if you have enough experience to fill it, is dedicated to your board experience or your board facing experience and or your board value proposition. The other thing is that the executive experience that you do list, you will pare down because you're thinking about creating a board summary, essentially, but in the CV format, in the resume format, as opposed to the bio, which I talk about in a separate video. So it looks visually a lot like an executive resume, but you are taking a high-level view, what is applicable to your candidacy as a board member, and what experience you've had that relates to boards is what you want to emphasize, and the rest de-emphasize in most cases. So that's the difference between a board resume and a non-board resume. Thanks. How should you change LinkedIn if you want to go for a corporate board role? So this is not a one-size-fits-all answer, but what I would say is whatever board positions you have now, you will want to list them probably in your experience section and not in volunteer or organizations. You still might want to keep your current role as the top of the experience section, the first role listed, and then add board roles following that. You also might want to talk about board service or board related service or corporate governance or anything that would relate to boards in your about section. You may consider in your headline putting the different pieces of your executive roles and then / board member or comma board member, depending on how you set it up, so that what you're trying to do is give information to the algorithm, the LinkedIn algorithm, to suggest you when you could be a match for a role. But more importantly, when someone's doing a search for you, a search for a board member, they will find you more likely if you have board related expertise and, board listed that you are on a board, as well as when they go to visit your profile, they will see that information. You also might want to start paring down a bit about your very early roles. So that's kind of the gist of most of what would be changed. And I'm happy to share more anytime you'd like to have a conversation. Thanks. This has been Essential Board Prep, your pitch, bio, resume, and LinkedIn profile. If you'd like to reach me, you can reach out to team@segalcoaching.com.